The sleek form of my spacecraft glided through the atmosphere of the mysterious planet, a swirl of vibrant greens and deep blues beneath me. As I navigated the final descent, I couldn't help but feel a rush of excitement coursing through my veins. This was not just another mission, it was an opportunity to uncover the unknown, to explore the vestiges of a long-lost civilization. I had read the reports, seen the scans, but nothing compared to the actual sight of the ancient ruins sprawling across the landscape as I touched down. The ship's landing gear crunched against the coarse, unyielding surface, and I quickly powered down the engines. Stepping out of the hatch, I was immediately enveloped by the warm, earthy scent of the planet, a stark contrast to the sterile confines of my spacecraft. I took a moment to absorb my surroundings, my heart racing in anticipation. Towering stone structures rose in the distance, their surfaces engraved with intricate symbols that shimmered under the soft light of the sun. It was breathtaking, an invitation to delve deeper into the history that lay dormant within the stones. "Wow," I whispered to myself, stepping cautiously away from the ship. The architecture was unlike anything I had ever seen, a blend of organic curves and angular lines that spoke of a culture both advanced and ancient. I felt an overwhelming urge to touch the weathered stone, to connect with the lives of those who had once walked these paths. As I made my way toward the nearest ruin, I felt a prickling sensation at the back of my neck, as if the very air was charged with energy. The symbols seemed to pulse with a life of their own, inviting me to decipher their meaning. I reached out and traced my fingers along one of the carvings, feeling the grooves beneath my touch. "What secrets do you hold?" I murmured, my voice barely louder than a breath. Suddenly, a low rumble echoed through the clearing, making me pull my hand back instinctively. I glanced around, my heart racing. "Just the wind," I assured myself, though a sliver of doubt crept in. The vastness of the ruins was both exhilarating and intimidating. I took a deep breath, shaking off the unease, and ventured further into the maze of stone. As I wandered deeper into the ruins, I stumbled upon a grand entrance marked by two colossal pillars, their surfaces adorned with faded murals depicting celestial events and legendary figures. My curiosity piqued, I approached the doorway, feeling a magnetic pull toward whatever lay beyond. I stepped inside, and the atmosphere shifted instantly. The air was cooler, thick with the scent of damp earth and age. I took cautious steps, my boots echoing softly against the stone floor. The chamber was dimly lit, illuminated by shafts of light filtering through cracks in the ceiling. Scattered around the space were artifacts, broken pottery, rusted tools, and what appeared to be ceremonial masks. Each item told a story, a glimpse into the lives of those who had once thrived here. But it was the glint of something on the far wall that caught my attention. My heart quickened as I approached, my eyes widening in awe. Embedded in the stone was a holographic map, its luminous lines glowing with a soft blue light. I leaned closer, the intricacies of the map coming into focus. It depicted not only the ruins but also a pathway leading to a central point marked as a temple. This could be it," I breathed, my fingers brushing the surface of the map, activating its projections. Symbols and annotations sprang to life, swirling around me as they revealed the layout of the temple. My mind raced with possibilities. What could I uncover? What knowledge lay hidden within the heart of this ancient structure? Just as I began to decipher the map, a sudden movement in my peripheral vision made me spin around. My heart nearly stopped as two figures emerged from the shadows, their presence commanding and otherworldly. I blinked in disbelief, taking a step back as they stepped into the light. One was tall and slender, with skin that shimmered like liquid silver, and eyes that seemed to hold galaxies within them. The other was equally majestic, with deep blue skin and intricate patterns swirling across their body, reminiscent of the very ruins surrounding us. They exuded an aura of authority and grace that made me feel both awed and vulnerable. "What are you doing here, human?" the silver-skinned one demanded, their voice a melodic blend of strength and curiosity. I felt a rush of adrenaline as I prepared to defend myself, but I quickly realized that panic would do me no good. I'm Ethan," I stammered, raising my hands in a gesture of peace. "I mean no harm. I'm an explorer, just curious about the ruins." The blue-skinned figure stepped closer, their gaze piercing into mine. "Curiosity can lead to dangerous paths. You stand in a sacred space." "I understand," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "But I found this map," I gestured back toward the holographic display, "and I believe it leads to something significant, something that could hold answers about your civilization." The silver-skinned alien exchanged a glance with their companion, a flicker of intrigue crossing their features. "You speak of our history?" the Silver One asked, a hint of challenge in their tone. "Yes," I replied, emboldened by their interest. "I want to help. I believe that understanding your past could be crucial for our future, too." The blue-skinned being stepped forward, their expression softening slightly. "You seek to understand, yet you trespass on ground that has been forgotten. What makes you worthy of our trust?" I took a deep breath, weighing my words carefully. I may be just one person, but I am driven by the desire to learn and to help. I promise I won't interfere with anything sacred. I want to uncover the truth, not just for myself but for the legacy of your people. For a tense moment, silence reigned as they considered my words. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, the weight of their scrutiny heavy upon me. Finally, the silver-skinned alien spoke again, their voice softer, yet still commanding. "Very well, Ethan. We are Lyra and Kale. If you wish to assist us in restoring the temple, you must prove your intentions are genuine. Come with us, and together we will uncover the truths buried within these ruins." With a mixture of relief and excitement, I nodded, my mind racing with the possibilities that lay ahead. As I followed Lyra and Kale deeper into the heart of the ruins, I felt a sense of purpose blooming within me. This was just the beginning of a journey that would intertwine our fates, a path that promised both challenges and revelations. Little did I know, the ancient whispers of the past were stirring, ready to unveil their secrets in ways I could never have anticipated. The air was thick with anticipation as Lyra and Kale stood before me, their alien forms shimmering with an otherworldly light. I could sense the weight of their history, the burden they carried as they revealed their purpose. "Ethan," Lyra began, her voice smooth yet filled with an underlying urgency, "the temple you discovered holds the essence of our civilization. It is not just a structure, it is a repository of our past, our culture, our very identity. Without its restoration, we risk losing everything." Kale stepped forward, his deep-set eyes locking onto mine. "We have watched over this land for centuries, but we cannot restore the temple alone. Your arrival, your unique insight into ancient constructs, is what we need. Will you help us?" I felt a rush of adrenaline mixed with disbelief. Me? An Earth explorer, suddenly thrust into a mission to save an alien civilization? I'd be honored, I stammered, the gravity of the situation slowly sinking in. "What do you need me to do?" Lyra smiled, a glimmer of hope lighting her features. "We must gather the sacred artifacts that belong to the temple, scattered across the ruins. Each piece tells a story, and together, they will unlock the temple's true potential. But beware, the path is fraught with challenges." As we set out toward the temple, a sense of adventure coursed through me. The landscape was both beautiful and treacherous, with jagged cliffs and dense foliage. I followed the aliens, trying to keep pace with their graceful strides. "So, what can you tell me about your civilization?" I asked, my curiosity piqued. Kale glanced at me, his expression contemplative. "Our people were once great architects of knowledge and harmony. We created art that resonated with the stars and built technologies to harness the elements. But a cataclysm shattered our world, and we became mere shadows of our former selves." "What caused the cataclysm?" I pressed, wanting to understand the depth of their loss. "It was a consequence of our hubris," Lyra interjected, her voice somber. "We sought power without understanding its consequences. The temple was meant to be a beacon of our unity, but it became a target for those who wished to exploit us." I could feel the weight of their sorrow, the echoes of a civilization that had once thrived. "And restoring the temple will bring back your unity?" I asked, hoping my words could ignite a flicker of hope. "Yes," Kale affirmed, his voice steady. "The restoration will not only revive our past, but also protect our future. We believe the temple holds secrets that can prevent such devastation from happening again." After hours of traversing the rough terrain, we stopped to catch our breath near a rocky outcrop. Dark clouds gathered above us, and the wind began to howl ominously. "This storm is unusual," Lyra said, her brow furrowed. "We must move quickly. The temple lies just beyond the next valley." As we pressed on, the wind picked up, whipping around us like a tempest. I struggled to keep my footing, glancing back at Lyra and Kale, who moved with an ethereal grace despite the chaos. "Is this common for your planet?" I shouted over the roar of the wind. Kale shook his head, his expression serious. "No. The elements are restless. It is as if the planet knows we are attempting to restore balance. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning split the sky, illuminating the ruins that lay ahead. The sight stole my breath. A grand structure, partially obscured by vines and debris, rose majestically against the darkening backdrop. "That's it!" I exclaimed, my heart racing. "That's the temple." Lyra nodded, her eyes sparkling with determination. "Yes, but we are not alone in our quest. The sentinels guard the temple, and they will not allow us to pass without proving our worth." "What do you mean by sentinels?" I asked, my stomach knotting with apprehension. "They are ancient protectors, bound to the temple by magic and technology. They will challenge us, testing our resolve and intentions," Kale explained. "If we are deemed unworthy, we will be unable to enter." "Then we better be prepared," I replied, a surge of adrenaline pushing me forward. "What can I do to help?" As we approached the temple's entrance, I could see the sentinels, towering figures composed of stone and metal, etched with intricate symbols that glowed faintly as they sensed our approach. They stood sentinel, their formidable presence both intimidating and awe-inspiring. "What do we do?" I whispered, feeling small against their towering forms. Lyra stepped forward, her voice steady. "We must demonstrate our intent. I will speak to them in the ancient tongue." She raised her hands, and the air around us shimmered with energy. As she chanted, the sentinels began to stir. Their eyes glowed brighter, and the ground trembled beneath us. "Ethan, stand ready," Kale instructed, his gaze locked on the sentinels. "They will demand proof of your worth." I nodded, my heart pounding. The sentinels' deep, rumbling voices filled the air, questioning our purpose. "Why do you seek entrance to the temple? What do you offer?" Lyra translated for me. "We seek to restore what was lost, to reclaim our history and protect our future. This Earth explorer has come to aid us, and he brings knowledge that can help." The sentinels remained silent for a moment, their glowing eyes scrutinizing me. I felt the weight of their gaze, as if they were peering into my very soul. "What do you offer to prove your worth?" they demanded. Thinking quickly, I stepped forward, my voice steady despite my nerves. "I offer my skills and my commitment. I have journeyed far and seen the destruction wrought by ignorance. I wish to learn, to help restore your civilization's legacy." A low rumble echoed from the sentinels. "Words alone are insufficient. You must show us your wisdom and courage." "Then how can I prove myself?" I asked, my mind racing. "By solving the riddle of the ancients," one sentinel replied. "Answer correctly, and you may enter. Fail, and you will be cast away." "What's the riddle?" I felt a mix of excitement and dread. The sentinel boomed, "I am not alive, but I can grow. I do not have lungs, but I need air. What am I?" I thought for a moment, recalling lessons from Earth. "Fire. It's fire." The sentinels paused, their eyes flickering as if processing my answer. "Correct," they intoned in unison, their forms shifting slightly. "You have proven your worth." A beam of light shot from their eyes, illuminating the entrance of the temple. "You may enter, but know that the path ahead is fraught with challenges yet unseen." As we stepped into the temple, I felt a surge of energy, as if the very walls were alive with history. The air hummed with anticipation, and I couldn't help but feel that this was just the beginning of an incredible journey. "Stay close," Lyra said, her voice a mix of excitement and caution. "The temple holds many secrets, and we must tread carefully." With every step deeper into the temple, I could feel the weight of the past pressing down on us, urging us forward toward our destiny. As we stepped into the heart of the temple, the air thickened with a sense of reverence and history. The dim light from the luminescent crystals embedded in the walls cast flickering shadows on the intricate murals that adorned the chamber. I could hardly breathe as I absorbed the grandeur of the space, each detail whispering stories of a civilization long lost. "Look at these murals," I spoke, my voice barely above a whisper. "They tell a story." Lyra, her ethereal form gliding gracefully beside me, nodded. "They depict the cataclysm that befell our people. It is a tale of pride and downfall, of choices that led to our near extinction." Kale moved closer to the murals, his sharp gaze tracing the vibrant colors. "This one," he pointed to an image of a massive celestial event. "It shows the alignment of the planets. It was said that such an event would bring great power, but it also unleashed chaos." As I studied the mural, I felt an unsettling familiarity wash over me. The symbols, the figures, there was something in them that resonated deep within my core. What if this catastrophe is linked to my own history? I pondered aloud, my mind racing through the tales of Earth's past. What if the mistakes of your civilization mirror those of humanity? Lyra turned to me, her eyes shimmering with understanding. You speak of hubris? We are not so different, it seems. Both our peoples have faced the consequences of our actions. The weight of our shared histories hung between us, a bridge built of ancient regrets and lessons unlearned. As I stepped closer to the murals, I could almost feel the pulse of the temple, a heartbeat resonating with the echoes of the past. My fingers brushed against the stone, and a sudden spark ignited in my mind, a vision. I was standing in the midst of the alien civilization, vibrant and alive. Towering structures glowed with energy, and beings similar to Lyra and Kale danced in celebration. I could see them thriving, united in their culture and wisdom. Yet, the scene shifted abruptly, shadows crept in, and chaos erupted. The joyous gathering turned into a frenzied panic as the skies darkened, and the ground trembled beneath their feet. Ethan. Kale's voice pulled me back to reality, his concern evident. Are you all right? I shook my head, trying to dispel the remnants of the vision. I saw your people before everything fell apart. There was a celebration, and then darkness came. It felt so real. Lyra stepped closer, her expression a mix of intrigue and concern. The temple often reveals truths to those who seek them. Perhaps the connection you feel is stronger than you realize. Maybe there's a reason I'm here, I mused, my heart racing. Maybe I'm meant to help restore what was lost. As we continued exploring the temple, I couldn't shake the feeling that the answers I sought were buried deeper within its walls. The air felt charged with energy, and I yearned to uncover more. Suddenly, we entered a chamber that felt different, more alive. The walls pulsed with a soft, golden light, and in the center lay a pedestal, upon which rested an ancient artifact. It glimmered as if beckoning me closer. What is it? I asked, my voice filled with awe. Lyra and Kale exchanged glances, an unspoken understanding passing between them. Kale stepped forward. This is the heart of Etherian, an artifact said to hold the essence of our civilization. It resonates with those who possess the spirit of our ancestors. I approached the pedestal, entranced. My heart raced as I reached out and touched the artifact. A surge of energy coursed through me, and images flooded my mind, fragments of memories, emotions, and visions of the past. I saw the alien civilization flourishing, their advancements in technology and art, their unity, and their profound connection to the cosmos. I can feel it, I breathed, overwhelmed. It's like a piece of your history is alive within me. Lyra stepped beside me, her eyes wide with wonder. You are connected to it in ways we never anticipated. Perhaps it is not just a relic, it is a key, one that can unlock the potential to restore our civilization. As I pulled my hand away, the visions faded, but the resolve within me grew stronger. We have to use this, I insisted. We must restore the temple and reignite the spirit of your people. Before any of us could act, a sudden tremor shook the ground beneath our feet. The temple resonated with a deep rumble, and dust rained down from the ceiling. What's happening? I shouted, bracing myself against the pedestal. Kale's expression shifted from concern to alarm. We are not alone. We must leave this chamber now. As we turned to flee, the entrance to the chamber exploded outward, and a group of mercenaries stormed in, weapons drawn, their eyes gleaming with greed. Hand over the artifact, one shouted, his voice a guttural growl that echoed ominously in the chamber. Ethan, stay behind us. Lyra commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos. Kale positioned himself protectively in front of me, his posture radiating strength and determination. Who are you? I demanded, attempting to mask my fear with bravado. What do you want with this place? Enough of this, the mercenary leader barked. We know what this temple holds. The power of the ancients belongs to whoever can take it. And that means you. Not if we stop you first. Kale shouted, his voice echoing through the chamber. Without hesitation, he lunged at the nearest mercenary, and the room erupted into chaos. I scrambled to find cover behind a crumbling column, my heart racing. The clash of weapons rang through the air, mingling with the shouts of the mercenaries and the cries of my alien companions. I could see Kale fighting fiercely, his movements fluid and powerful, while Lyra unleashed a wave of energy that sent several mercenaries sprawling. But in the midst of the chaos, I felt a surge of panic. I had to do something. I couldn't just hide while they fought. I scanned the room, searching for anything I could use. My eyes caught sight of a fallen pillar, its jagged edge glinting dangerously. I grabbed it, my heart pounding as I rushed toward the fray. "Ethan, be careful!" Lyra shouted, but I had already made my choice. I swung the makeshift weapon at the nearest mercenary, catching him off guard. The blow connected, and he stumbled back with a shocked expression. "Get to the artifact!" I yelled to Kale, who was locked in combat with two mercenaries. "I'll cover you." With a fierce determination, I fought alongside them, using every ounce of ingenuity I had. I ducked and weaved, dodging incoming attacks, and striking back whenever I had the chance. But then, amidst the chaos, I heard a pained grunt. My heart dropped as I turned to see Kale stumble, clutching his side. "Kale!" I shouted, panic rising in my chest. "I'm fine," he gasped, but the blood seeping through his fingers told a different story. The mercenaries pressed on, and the situation grew dire. I felt a surge of desperation wash over me. We couldn't lose him. We couldn't lose this opportunity. "Lyra!" I shouted, my voice cutting through the noise. "We have to protect him." As Lyra unleashed another wave of energy, I knelt beside Kale, my mind racing. "We can't let them take the artifact. It's too important." Kale looked at me, a fierce resolve in his eyes despite his injury. "You have to be strong, Ethan. We can't afford to lose this fight." As the battle raged on, I felt the weight of their hopes resting on my shoulders. The echoes of the temple's past whispered in my ear, urging me to fight not just for myself, but for the future of a civilization that had once thrived. We were all entwined in this struggle, and I was determined to see it through. The air inside the temple was thick with tension as I knelt beside Kale, who lay on the cold stone floor, his body limp and pale. Lyra hovered nearby, her ethereal features twisted with worry. The fierce battle with the mercenaries had taken its toll, and now with Kale injured, our quest seemed to hang by a fragile thread. "Ethan," Lyra spoke, her voice steady yet trembling with urgency, "we must find a way to heal him. There is an ancient healing pool within the temple, but it requires a significant sacrifice to activate." I looked at Kale, his usually vibrant blue skin now dull and lifeless. The weight of the situation pressed down on me, and a feeling of helplessness surged through my veins. "What kind of sacrifice?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Lyra stepped closer, her luminous eyes locking onto mine. "It requires the life force of a willing being. A portion of your energy can awaken the pool and restore Kale's strength. But it's a dangerous process, Ethan. You could be left weakened, vulnerable." The gravity of her words settled heavily on my chest. I could feel my heart racing as I contemplated the choice before me. On one hand, I had only just begun to understand my connection to this alien civilization, to Lyra and Kale. On the other, there was a life hanging in the balance, a life that could help preserve the history and secrets of an entire race. "Is there no other option?" I pleaded, almost desperately. "Surely there must be another way." Lyra shook her head, her expression softening. "This pool has been dormant for eons. It requires a pure intent and a willing heart to awaken it. You are not just any being, Ethan. You have a connection to this place, to us. Your sacrifice may be the key." I took a deep breath, the reality of my situation crashing over me like a tidal wave. I was a mere explorer from Earth, thrust into a world filled with wonders and dangers I barely understood. But as I looked at Kale, I felt a surge of determination. I couldn't let fear dictate my actions. If I had the power to save him, how could I turn my back? "All right," I said, my voice steadying as I resolved myself. "If it will save him, I'll do it." Lyra's eyes widened, a mix of surprise and gratitude washing over her features. "Are you certain? The process will be intense. You may feel pain as your energy is drawn from you." "I'm sure," I replied, forcing a calmness into my tone. "Kale means too much to this civilization, and to you. I won't let him die." Lyra nodded solemnly, her expression grave yet relieved. "Very well. Follow me." She led me deeper into the temple, navigating the ancient corridors with a grace that seemed intrinsic to her nature. The air grew cooler as we approached the healing pool, illuminated by a soft bluish glow that shimmered like the surface of a tranquil sea. As we reached the pool, I was struck by its beauty. The water glistened with an otherworldly light, and intricate symbols adorned the stone surrounding it, pulsating with an energy that felt almost alive. I glanced back at Kale, still lying motionless, and my heart ached at the sight. "Stand at the edge of the pool," Lyra instructed, her voice firm but gentle. "We will begin the process. You must focus on your intention to heal Kale. Visualize your energy flowing into him." I nodded, my throat dry with anticipation. I stepped forward, feeling the cool stone beneath my feet, and crouched at the edge of the pool. The water shimmered invitingly, calling to me with a promise of hope. I took a deep breath, centering myself, and closed my eyes. Moments passed in silence, and I could hear the faint sound of my heartbeat echoing in my ears. I envisioned Kale's vibrant form, his laughter, the moments we shared since our paths intertwined. The memories fueled my determination, and I felt a warmth radiating from my core, a sense of energy waiting to be unleashed. "Now," Lyra urged softly, her voice a soothing balm against my mounting anxiety. "Let it flow." As I opened my eyes, I extended my hands over the pool, allowing the energy within me to pulse and surge. I imagined it weaving through the air, intertwining with the ancient symbols that surrounded us. The water began to ripple, responding to my call, and I felt a tingling sensation coursing through my fingertips. "Focus, Ethan," Lyra encouraged. "Picture Kale whole and strong again." With every ounce of willpower, I poured my energy into the pool, feeling it drain from my body like a river flowing into the sea. The sensation was both exhilarating and painful, as if a part of my very essence was being drawn away. I gritted my teeth, forcing myself to remain steady, to stay connected to Kale. Suddenly, the water in the pool erupted into a radiant wave, a brilliant light blinding me momentarily. I shielded my eyes, feeling the energy around me intensify, vibrating at a frequency I had never experienced before. The air crackled with power, and I sensed a shift, something ancient awakening. "Keep going," Lyra urged, her voice a distant echo in the growing chaos. "You're almost there." I pushed against the pain, focusing solely on Kale. I pictured him standing tall, his eyes bright with life, his laughter echoing through the temple once more. With that image solidified in my mind, I released the last remnants of my energy into the pool, feeling a rush of warmth envelop me. The light exploded outward, bathing the chamber in a warm glow. I gasped, my vision blurring as the energy surged through the water, cascading toward Kale. The pool shimmered and pulsed, a heartbeat resonating with the rhythm of my own. Then, as quickly as it had begun, the light faded, leaving me breathless and weak. I staggered back, my body trembling as I collapsed to my knees beside Kale. My energy felt depleted, as if I had run a marathon with no chance of rest. I looked at him, heart racing, wondering if it had worked. Moments felt like hours as I waited, anxiety gnawing at my insides. Then slowly, Kale's eyes fluttered open. They were a deep azure, filled with confusion at first, but then recognition washed over his face. "Ethan," he rasped, his voice hoarse but alive. What happened?" I managed a weak smile, relief flooding through me. "You're safe now. You've been healed." Lyra stepped closer, her expression one of unrestrained joy. "You did it, Ethan. Your sacrifice awakened the healing pool. You've saved him." Kale struggled to sit up, his strength returning with every passing moment. I felt something. A warmth, a light. "It was you, wasn't it?" I nodded, the exhaustion weighing heavily on me. "I gave a part of my energy to the pool. I couldn't let you go like that." Kale looked at me with gratitude, his eyes shimmering with emotion. "You've given me a second chance. I can never repay you for this." "Let's focus on what's important," Lyra interjected, her voice filled with urgency. "We have much to discuss. The artifact you found holds secrets we must unravel, but first, we need to gather our strength and prepare for what lies ahead." As I leaned against the cool stone, my body still trembling from the sacrifice I had made, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. I had faced my fears and come out on the other side, united with these two incredible beings. Together, we would unlock the mysteries of the temple and fight for the future of their civilization. The journey was far from over, and I was ready to face whatever came next. As I stood before the ancient altar, the atmosphere crackled with anticipation. My heart raced, both with fear and exhilaration. Lyra and Kale were beside me, their ethereal forms shimmering under the faint light that seeped through the temple's crumbling ceiling. The artifact we had unearthed pulsed gently in my hands, its surface warm and alive, as if it were a living entity. "Are you ready, Ethan?" Lyra's voice was calm yet firm, cutting through the tension that filled the air. Her luminous eyes bore into mine, a mix of trust and hope. "I think so," I replied, trying to mask the tremor in my voice. This was it, the moment we had been preparing for. But I knew we were not alone. The mercenaries, who had mercilessly attacked us before, were likely regrouping, plotting their next move. Kale stepped closer, his alien features betraying a hint of concern. "Once you activate the artifact, it may draw their attention. We need to be prepared for a fight." "Then let's do this quickly," I murmured, feeling the weight of our mission pressing down on me. I took a deep breath, channeling my focus into the artifact. The symbols etched into its surface began to glow brighter as I concentrated. Just as I was about to set the artifact down on the altar, the ground trembled beneath us. I stumbled, catching myself just in time, but the tremor was a warning, a reminder that danger was close. "Ethan!" Lyra shouted, her voice a blend of urgency and alarm. I turned and saw them, the mercenaries. They poured into the temple like a swarm, weapons drawn and eyes gleaming with greed. "Get them!" their leader bellowed, his voice echoing menacingly off the stone walls. Instinct kicked in as I grabbed the artifact, clutching it tightly. "We need to defend ourselves," I yelled, adrenaline coursing through my veins. Kale moved swiftly, taking position beside me, his own weapon drawn. "Remember, Ethan. The artifact, its power can be our advantage." "Right," I shouted back, my mind racing. I had to activate it, but the chaos of the mercenaries closing in was overwhelming. With a surge of determination, I placed the artifact on the altar. The moment it touched the stone, a brilliant light erupted, bathing the chamber in a warm golden glow. The mercenaries halted, momentarily stunned by the radiance. "Now, Ethan," Lyra urged, her voice cutting through the noise. I reached out, letting my energy flow into the artifact. The light intensified, swirling around us like a vortex. It was a heady rush, yet I could feel the artifact's power aligning with my intentions. "Let's show them what we're made of," Kale shouted, charging toward the nearest mercenary, his movements fluid and powerful. I watched as he engaged in combat, his alien agility allowing him to dodge and counter with precision. The energy from the artifact surged through me, and I felt emboldened. I was not just an explorer anymore, I was a part of something greater. "Ethan, focus," Lyra called, her voice grounding me amidst the chaos. I turned back to the artifact, feeling its energy resonating with my own. With a burst of will, I unleashed the power of the artifact. A wave of energy radiated outwards, enveloping the mercenaries in its golden embrace. They were thrown back, disoriented, as if the very air around them had solidified. "Now!" I yelled, adrenaline surging through my body. I could see the mercenaries struggling to regain their footing, and it was our chance. Lyra and Kale seized the moment, launching a coordinated attack. Kale took down 2 mercenaries in swift succession, while Lyra used her agility to flank their remaining forces. Together, we were a force to be reckoned with. Yet, as the battle raged on, I became acutely aware of the artifact's instability. Its glow began to flicker, the energy pulsing erratically. "We need to finish this," I shouted, trying to maintain control over the artifact. But just as I regained my footing, the mercenary leader emerged from the shadows, fury etched across his face. "Fools," he roared, raising his weapon. "You think you can control that power? You're merely children playing with forces you cannot begin to comprehend." His words struck a chord of fear within me, a reminder of the weight of our task. "We're not children," I retorted defiantly. "We're here to restore what your greed has destroyed." With a surge of resolve, I redirected the artifact's energy toward him. The light flared, and for a moment, time seemed to freeze. The mercenary leader's expression shifted from arrogance to disbelief as the energy enveloped him. "No! No!" he screamed, struggling against the force. The light consumed him, and suddenly, it was as if the air itself was alive with power. The remaining mercenaries, witnessing their leader's fate, faltered. Fear spread through their ranks, and I could see the realization dawning upon them. They were outmatched. "Ethan, now," Kale called, and I didn't hesitate. I directed the artifact's remaining energy toward the last of the mercenaries, sending them sprawling against the temple's walls. As the dust settled and silence enveloped us, I felt the artifact's energy wane, flickering weakly in my hands. Did we win? I managed to breathe out, my heart still racing. Lyra stepped forward, her expression a mix of relief and pride. "You did it, Ethan. You harnessed the artifact's power." But as I looked at the artifact, I felt a pang of anxiety. "It's unstable," I said, my voice trembling. "We need to stabilize it before it causes more harm." Kale nodded, his brow furrowed with concern. "We must be quick. The energy it released could attract unwanted attention." I took a deep breath, grounding myself in the moment. We had won the battle, but the war for the temple's legacy was far from over. The artifact, though powerful, felt like a double-edged sword, capable of destruction as easily as it could bring restoration. As we gathered ourselves, our victory felt bittersweet. The echoes of the battle faded, replaced by the haunting beauty of the temple around us. We had fought fiercely, but the real challenge was yet to come. "Let's focus on stabilizing the artifact," I said, looking at my companions. Their determination mirrored my own, and I knew that together, we could face whatever lay ahead. In that moment, standing among the remnants of a civilization that had once thrived, I understood the weight of our shared responsibility. The past and future collided here, and it was up to us to ensure that the lessons learned were not forgotten, a legacy worth fighting for. With renewed purpose, we set to work, knowing that the true journey was only just beginning. The air crackled with energy as I stood before the artifact, its pulsating glow illuminating the ancient stone walls of the temple. My heart raced, not out of fear, but excitement. Lyra and Kale flanked me, their expressions a mixture of determination and concern. We had narrowly defeated the mercenaries, but the victory felt hollow. The artifact, now ours, hummed ominously, a reminder of the power we had barely contained. "Ethan, we must stabilize it before it causes more destruction," Lyra urged, her voice steady yet laced with urgency. Her ethereal features glowed faintly in the artifact's light, and I could see the resolve in her eyes. This was more than just a mission for her, it was a fight for her people's survival. "I'm trying to remember what you told me about your civilization's energy harmonics," I replied, recalling snippets from our earlier conversations. "You said you could channel energy through your minds, right?" Kale nodded, his brows furrowed in concentration. "Yes, we must synchronize our thoughts and intentions. It's the only way to control the artifact's power. It is alive, in a sense, and responds to our emotional states." "Right," I said, taking a deep breath. "Let's do this together." I stepped closer to the artifact, its light bathing me in a warm glow. I could feel a pulse resonate through my body, almost like a heartbeat. It was both exhilarating and terrifying. Lyra and Kale positioned themselves on either side of me, their hands extended toward the artifact. As we focused, I could feel the energy swirling around us, intertwining our thoughts and emotions. "Think of restoration, of hope," Lyra urged, her voice a soothing balm against the chaos. "Visualize the temple as it once was, a beacon of our civilization." I closed my eyes, envisioning the temple in its glory, vibrant murals, laughter echoing through its halls, a place where knowledge flowed like a river. The images filled me with a profound sense of purpose. I opened my eyes, locking gazes with Lyra and Kale. On 3, we channel our energy. 1, 2, 3. As we focused our minds, a brilliant surge of light erupted from the artifact, enveloping us in a cocoon of energy. The power swelled, and I could feel it trying to break free, to unleash chaos. I gritted my teeth, channeling every ounce of willpower I had. "We can do this," I shouted, my voice barely rising above the roar of energy. "Trust in each other," Kale added, his voice steady despite the turmoil. We poured our intentions into the artifact, and slowly but surely, the chaotic energy began to stabilize. The light dimmed slightly, and a sense of calm washed over us. We had done it. But just as relief began to settle in, a shadow loomed over us. I turned, my heart sinking as I laid eyes on the mercenary leader, his twisted smile sending shivers down my spine. "You fools," he sneered, eyes glinting with malice. "Did you really think you could control such power? Your civilization is doomed." "Who are you?" I demanded, trying to mask the rising dread in my chest. I glanced at Lyra and Kale, who stood poised for a fight. The mercenary leader stepped forward, his presence suffocating. "I was once one of you," he declared, voice dripping with contempt. "A protector of our legacy. But when I saw the temple's true power, I realized I could be so much more. I sought to harness it, to elevate myself above the rest. And now, you will all pay the price for your ignorance." Realization dawned on me. "You're a traitor!" I shouted, fury boiling within me. "You turned your back on your people for power." He laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the chamber. "Power is the only truth, boy. And soon, you'll understand that. The artifact will be mine." "No!" Lyra shouted, stepping forward. "You cannot take it. It belongs to our people." The mercenary leader sneered, raising his hand as tendrils of dark energy snaked toward us from the artifact. "Then you will perish with it." "Ethan!" Kale shouted, snapping me back to reality. "We need to protect the artifact. Focus." I took a deep breath, feeling the remnants of our connection to the artifact still pulsing in the air. "Together," I urged, extending my hands toward the artifact. "We can't let him win." With renewed determination, we channeled our combined energy into the artifact, amplifying its glow. The dark tendrils recoiled, and the chamber trembled as a shockwave erupted from our unity. The mercenary leader staggered back, his confidence wavering. "No!" he roared, eyes wide with disbelief. "You cannot be stronger than me." "We're not just fighting for ourselves," I shouted back, feeling the energy surge ever stronger. "We're fighting for a future." As the shockwave collided with him, his form began to flicker, the dark energy dissipating into the air. He screamed, a sound of pure rage and despair, before vanishing entirely, leaving only echoes of his tyranny behind. We stood in the aftermath, panting and covered in dust. The artifact pulsed steadily, its energy now harmonized with our intentions. "Did we do it?" I asked, glancing at Lyra and Kale. Lyra's eyes sparkled with a mix of relief and awe. "Yes, we did. The temple is safe, and our civilization has a chance to rebuild." Kale smiled, his usual stoicism breaking into a warm expression. "It is a new beginning for us, thanks to you, Ethan." Feeling a rush of gratitude, I looked at the restored artifact. But what about the power? The balance?